So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Private Obsession, 1995. This is going to be another Lee Frost flick. It's supposed to be an erotic thriller, according to my research. There was very little other information about this movie, other than it stars the great Bo Svenson as the private dick, no pun intended. So this is about a fanatic guy who's obsessed with this blondie. She's got huge bazookas. We're talking double D size, and of course that makes her pink nipples stretch out further. But she gets naked a lot in this one, including a little bit of full frontal. And he's watching a videotape of her doing a feminazi speech, and there's even a song in the music soundtrack called Feminazi March, if you can believe that. Anyways, I can tell that feminism is one of Lee Frost's pet peeves. He's probably got people protesting his movie or whatever. Who knows? But I remember giving a Jane Mansfield Something Weird video to my coworker, and she thought I was demeaning towards women just by watching that stuff. Anyways, that's the kind of person this blondie is, and she hates men. She thinks she wants equal pay and all this other nonsense, and she's just on the warpath against men. So this guy's watching our videotape. His name is Dicka. That's what I meant by no pun intended. I guess his legal name is Richard. And so he poses a limo driver. He gasses her out in the back seat. There's like this little tube that feeds the back seat full of knockout gas. So she's passed out. He brings her to his dungeon. He's got all this fancy schmancy camera stuff set up in a room where he can be like a peeping Tom on her. And like I said, she does get naked a lot. I mean, like half of the movie she's naked. And so when she finds out that he's spying on her, she pulls the plug quite literally from out of the socket. What I don't understand is why doesn't she just pick up a table and use it to smash through the window right off the bat? She does that later on when he lets her roam around his house, but why doesn't she do that while she's in that dungeon room? Or what, when he's like right in front of her, why doesn't she just rip his eyes out with her fingernails or kick him in the groin area or something? That's what I don't understand. But I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I love this flick. The ending wasn't that great, but it's definitely has that Lee Frost low budget feel to it, which is what I really enjoy. And just the dialogue between the two of them when he's on the television screen talking to her in her dungeon through his microphone and his video feed. He's just this very unintentional humor type of cat and mouse game going on between them. So she gets stuck in this kitten or pet door inside the steel door. It's like this rubber flap thing. She's trying to escape through it, and she gets stuck right in the middle of it. So he starts rubbing butter all over her, ripping off her bra and like grabbing her by the legs and pulling her back in. And like I said, he's right in front of her. She could have attacked him. I guess she didn't learn any self-defense classes, but I don't know if she's like a stripper or a porn star or a model or all three, but apparently she's famous for being a feminazi, on speaking her mind on women's issues or whatnot. So he cuts off the water because she unplugged his stuff, and finally she relents, and she gets drunk. He's like fixing her dinner and shoving it through the rubber flap thing, the pet door, and she gets drunk on the wine, and she starts dancing around and stuff. And then he says, "Come on in the living room." They start doing the Duke on the couch. It looks like dry humping, simulated sex kind of stuff. And then that's when she says, "Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom." And she smashes the bathroom window and escapes. He starts running after her because he can smell the perfume that he bought her. He's buying her all this fancy clothes and perfume and stuff. And so he throws it back in there, turns off the water again. He deprives her of food. And then he just lets her go scot-free again. He's like climbing up the mountain behind his house, and he's got a little picnic area. And then he buys travel tickets from Rip Thorne. He wants to take her to the Bahamas, but I don't want to spoil the ending, but Bo Svenson is the private investigator hired to find her. He's working with the LAPD he's making like hundreds and hundreds of phone calls to limo companies trying to figure out where this guy lives. And the LAPD guy is just sitting at his house moping around, and he picks up the phone, he dials 1 on the list, and he gets the address of where she is. Anyways, cool flick, lots of unintentional humor, lots of jabs at feminism. At one point, when before she starts dancing around, he says, "What do you call all those old timers looking at you naked?" They're demonstrating their authority over you at that point. And then she has nothing to say. So I could tell Lee Frost was taking jabs at feminism, which I don't mind. Really, I think it's amusing, especially considering how my son was kidnapped by his mother, for the most part, thanks to feminist judicial system here in California. I'm definitely all for men's rights. I don't know if that makes me a misogynist or a bad person, but yeah, after that whole ordeal, I can't stand government and feminist ideology in general. Just from that whole stinky mess that I had to go through. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know how other people feel. Other people probably didn't have to go through what I went through, so I'm a little biased in that respect, admittedly. But highly recommended flick. Check it out. I'll post the link to the movie in the description box later.